The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Wright. I am happy to welcome you today on behalf of HEP. I do want to extend a warm welcome to everyone. We have a very, very large crowd today, and I think we have a very nice session planned for you here. Just a quick background on HEP. Some of you may or may not know us. We've been serving nonprofits for over 15 years. We have about 7,000 plus clients. A lot of you may know us through matching gift services. We put up a lot of web pages on for matching gifts on collegiate websites, and nonprofit websites as well. There are a few administrative details I'd like to go over with you. We'll not be working you too hard, but if you do by chance get knocked off on either the audio or the screen portion of the webinar, just either call back in or click on the link sent to you via email. We will be recording the session today, have it up on our website, as well as have the PowerPoint up. In case you have an associate who could not make it today, or you want to get a copy of the PowerPoint or listen to it again. So we should have that up for you early next week. We'll try to get up as soon as we can. You do have the ability to ask some questions as we go along. A couple places, actually, where we'll be hopefully be answering your questions. You'll see a place on the screen where you can ask questions electronically, and we will try and answer those questions at several intervals during the presentation. We're quite privileged to have as our presenter today Dr. Molly Wasko. Molly is an associate professor and chairman of the Department of Management Information Systems and Quantitative Methods at University of Alabama in Birmingham, where she teaches strategic information technologies, corporate information securities, web analytics, and project management. Dr. Wasko is also the Chief Technology Officer for InDegree, which is part of HEP Data. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Molly.
Thanks,
Molly?
John. So it's a pleasure to be here with you all this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining our webinar. Just to give you a little bit of background about me, so I've been a professor in higher education for the past 15 years. I have a PhD in Management Information Systems, and I work out of a business school. And so one of the biggest challenges we have is trying to track graduates for something called AACSB accreditation. So every 5 years the business school undergoes an accreditation report, and the last time we went through this at UAB, when the dean asked me, well, where had your graduates gone, what I realized is the university didn't have really good statistics, that while we were good at capturing people right before they left campus, keeping track of them was very hard. And so given my background in technologies and experience with digital networks, I thought there's got to be a good way to try and tap into social media to figure out where our folks have gone. And what we discovered is that really LinkedIn right now is the primary source of professional information about our alumni. So what we were able to do is come up with a solution to tap into LinkedIn. And last year, I started working with our career services director here at UAB, Suzanne Scott Trammell, to see if we could develop a solution for career service offices to track, recent graduates right after they graduate, 6 months out, a year out, to see if this would be a viable solution for tracking recent graduates. And so we joined forces with HEP earlier this year and have just launched our career service offerings. And as a result, we decided to have this kickoff webinar to see if this is a solution that might be useful to you. So to give you an idea of the agenda, first we're going to go over what is LinkedIn and why LinkedIn is relevant to you, and then we'll talk a little bit about the services that we provide. After that, we'll have a short Q&A session for you, and then we're going to go through and talk about some of the great tools that LinkedIn has that you can leverage in career service offices. So we'll go through how to build a student profile and strategies for student success, and then we'll go through some of the additional features like the college alumni application and check-in. So first of all, what is LinkedIn? So LinkedIn is the leading professional network out there on the web. And so right now, LinkedIn has over 259 million professionals with profiles out there on LinkedIn. They have over 3 million companies that are using LinkedIn to actually look for candidates. There are 60,000 college and university alumni groups on LinkedIn and 30 million students and recent graduates. So it's a great source of information, not only about where have our graduates gone, but also something that we can leverage for our students as a research tool to help them land that first job. Some other interesting statistics, that 64% of the people on LinkedIn are actually outside of the United States, so it's a very useful tool for universities that in the United States that have a high percentage of alumni that go international. And it's also a global solution, so we've had a lot of success with some international universities trying to track down their alumni as well. There's over 150 industries represented on LinkedIn, and they're executives from every Fortune 500 company. So it's a great resource from multiple perspectives. So why it should really matter to you, when I ask a group of people how many folks actually have an updated alumni page with their school, I usually get around 30%. But then when I ask how many of you have an updated LinkedIn profile, that increases to about 80% to 90% of the audience. And so while we have a difficult time staying connected with students because they don't maintain a profile, what they do seem to want to maintain is that professional network via LinkedIn. And so career service offices, we have a desperate need for better employer data. So the majority of our students don't actually have a job at the time of graduation. And so they seem to sprint to the end. I just want to get through graduation and then I will start looking for a job. So the exit surveys that we do right before graduation, sometimes we can get really good response rates, but the downside, that information is just good for that point in time. A lot of our students don't have jobs at that point in time, and then as soon as they do land that first job, they change off of their .edu email address and they move out of the home addresses, which is typically the one we have on file, and so it's hard to stay connected with them. About 63% of your students have a job at 6 months out. At least this is the statistic reported into NACE. But what we know is that college graduates have an under 5% unemployment rate. So this begs the question, where's the gap? And so our follow-up surveys are difficult to do. They're expensive, and they typically suffer pretty low response rates. And so tapping into other sources of data to try and collect this information seems to be a good solution. About 22% of our students say that they go on to graduate school, but finding out whether or not they actually enroll in a graduate school and which graduate schools seem to be the best prospects for your alumni is also difficult to track. So the key problem is we can't rely on alumni to update information through self-report, and unfortunately our current methods of tracking employment are expensive, they're manually intensive, and prone to error, which comes down to this basic question of how do we stay connected with our students once they graduate. So how HEP data can help? First of all, if you can provide us with a list of alumni. So these are the folks that graduated in 2013, 2012. The list depends on you. We can match this to LinkedIn profiles and other social media sources to find out where they've gone on to work. What we do is we combine these two data sources to provide alumni tracking and analytics back to you. So what we've found with our current university customers is typically for graduates from 2010 and later that we can find about 50%. And that statistic really is based on the profile of your alumni base at your school. So with recent graduates, we've had percentage find rates as low as 33%, so that's been the lowest, but also we've also had some that have been over 80%. And then depending on how old the alumni are or when they graduated, that those percentages drop down. But overall, we can typically find between 40 and 50% of an entire alumni base, 50 to 80% of your recent graduates. So how this works is we start with a list of your alumni data. So we need their name. We like to collect which college or school they come from, so whether it's College of Business, School of Engineering. We want their degree, the major, the year they graduated, and if you have available, the city, state, and zip, so we can use that as a matching source to social media, and also an email address. So the more data you can provide of these data elements, the more likely we'll be able to find more of your graduates. And I just want to point out that the data we collect from you is non-FERPA protected directory data, and so this helps ensure the privacy of your alumni. What we do is we match your student record up to a LinkedIn profile or other social media profile, and the fields that we pull back are the current location, their current industry, their LinkedIn URL, so you have a way to stay connected with them, their current job title, their current employer, the dates of employment, so you can tell whether or not they are presently employed or if this was a past position. And then we also pull back information from the education field so you can see if they've gone on to a graduate school. We return these results to you in Excel files, so you can easily upload it into other systems, or you can easily share it with other people on campus, and also so you can do your own analytics on it. So one of the fields that we add to this data is a work status for you, so you can easily report here's who's gone on to graduate school, who's presently employed, whether or not we couldn't find them if the job wasn't current, and of course if they've gone on to graduate school, we tell you where they are. In terms of pricing for our service, that we charge based on the data we can actually find for you. So we charge 50 cents per match. One thing to note is we do have a minimum requirement, so we have a $750 minimum. So what we recommend is send us a file with about 3,000 records so you get your money's worth. And right now what we're doing is offering a one-time search option, but if you see that the data meets your needs and you like the results that you get, that there's an option to license with us for automated updates. So for instance, what we're doing here at UAB is we're pulling this information right after graduation. So about 3 weeks after graduation, we pull LinkedIn profile data to see, where they have gone on to work, and then we also pull it right about this time of year for our 6 month out statistics. Some key considerations that we want you to be aware of. The first one is privacy. So we take non-FERPA protected directory data and we match this to publicly available information out there on the internet. So this is information that people have made available about themselves to anyone on the web. Confidentiality, the way we collect our data, it's passive, so we do not have to contact your alumni to get them to self-report something. Control, that you own the data in a format in Excel that is reusable for you, so there's nothing that we do with the data after we return it to you, that basically it is your data, you control it, you own it. And then compliance, we're in full compliance with LinkedIn's terms of use, and we're not officially associated in any way with LinkedIn. However, the methods that we do use are in full compliance with them. And so in terms of proven solutions for NACE, that on the annual survey, NACE asks a series of questions. So first of all, they want to know the percent with full-time employment at graduation. So we can help with that. So by pulling this data, shortly after graduation, we can give you employer statistics. Percent with full-time employment at time of follow-up survey. So once again, that's where we can really help. The way we're doing it here at UAB is we run the data through LinkedIn and our other sources, and then the follow-up survey goes to the people that we don't find, and so it cuts down on our expense of the follow-up survey. We can tell you the percent enrolled as full-time students in graduate or professional school. We can tell you the percent entering military service as of the latest survey data. We can't really tell you which percent is in a service program unless they actually report that as a current position for them. And then, unfortunately, we can't tell you which percent is unemployed but pursuing full-time employment. But we can certainly give you an indication of the people that you need to connect with to get this information. The survey responses are analyzed and reported by individual academic programs and majors, as well for the graduating class as a whole. So if you provide us with the information about their college and school and their major and their degree program, then it's very easy for you to report this out by academic programs. In terms of the salary solutions, we don't pull salary yet, but we're working on a solution next year. But we can certainly tell you the job title, the employer name, employer industry, and employer location. Those are all fields that we're able to capture. And then in terms of starting salary, once again, this is a solution, so hopefully by the NACE annual conference next year that we'll have a complete solution for you that includes a salary option. So we're going to pause here and take any questions that you might have about HEP services.
Yeah, I'll just make one comment. The PowerPoint will be available, on our website, hepdata.com, and should be available, in the next, probably on Monday or so. So that seems to be the only question I got. Did you see any other ones, Molly?
I do not.
Okay.
All right. So for the rest of the webinar, I want to spend some time talking about different features of LinkedIn that can be leveraged as part of your career services options. So, first step, that we cannot find them on LinkedIn for you if they're not actually out there on LinkedIn. And so in terms of how to effectively integrate LinkedIn as features, we'll go over a couple of things. First of all is, how do you actually help students build a profile? So I included this in the webinar because I just wanted to point out just how simple it really is to create a LinkedIn profile. So when you go to the LinkedIn homepage, if you don't already have a profile, it's going to say get started, it's free, and registration takes less than 2 minutes. And so they're going to put in their first and last name, then it's going to ask for their email. Encourage students to have a professional email address because this is going to show up when they connect with employers. So encourage them, if they have an email of madscientist@hotmail, to use their .edu address or to create another email that's more professional. Then it's going to ask you to type in a password and join now. So then LinkedIn does a great job just walking you through the different steps that you need to create a profile. So it's going to ask you where do you live, your zip code, whether you're currently employed, and get you started on building out that first job. So another thing that LinkedIn provides is drop-down options. So as you start typing, LinkedIn is going to offer you, here's some different companies that have, that start off with those words. Whenever possible, encourage students to actually use the drop-downs. And why this is important is because it creates a hyperlink to that company page and to other people working in that company. If they just free type anything they want to here, they're not going to have that kind of hyperlink ability. So next it's going to ask you if you want to import all of your email contacts. That I recommend actually saying no thanks. Remember this approval because it's pretty, it's not necessarily that you want your email contacts to also be your professional network. It's going to ask you to confirm that email address, so people have to use legitimate emails. Once again, they're going to try and get you to add all of your email contacts, but go ahead and skip that step. And then it's going to start making suggestions on on connections. So based on your profile, where you live, it's going to suggest here are some people you might want to connect with. So students can actually start adding connections here, or they can skip this step. Then it's going to say, congratulations, you just created the professional profile, and gives you an option to share this information on Facebook, share it on Twitter, so people are aware that there's a LinkedIn profile out there for them. It's going to ask you what type of account you want. Basic free accounts are perfectly fine for students at this point. So, a paid account gives you additional functionality, but for students, just have them take the free option. So LinkedIn is then going to prompt you on the other stuff that needs to be completed in order to actually fill out your profile. So once again, it's got this sign up wizard that makes it very simple for students to step through. Here are the different areas that I need to go through to create my profile. There's one thing though on this education component. So once again, LinkedIn is going to offer drop-downs based on what students start typing. However, your university could have multiple options out there. So Florida State University, there's the university, there's the College of Business, the College of Law, College of Medicine. And so when students sign up, you want to give them some guidance on what is the correct university. Once again, they could free-form type anything they want here, but the downside is they won't be able to hyperlink back to the university page or hyperlink to other people who have gone to that university. So first, make sure that they actually pick one of the drop-downs, and then second, if your university actually has multiple networks out there, give them some guidance on which one they should actually sign up for. So some of the key features of the profile that you should encourage students to complete. The first one is a professional photo. That with a professional photo, you're 7 times more likely to be viewed. But once again, encourage them, this is a professional photo. This is not a photo that they take with the webcam actually sitting in front of their computer. So one of the things that we have found incredibly effective is to have a photographer at our career fair days where students are already dressed up and offer this student free, or offer this service free to students. And so, having a photographer at the career fair that offers to take a professional headshot for them. Another thing you want to encourage students to do is to edit this headline. And so the default is your job title at your employer. And if it's a student, the default is student at your university. But you want them to customize that so they stand out a little bit better. Another thing you want to encourage students to do is to create a custom LinkedIn URL. So this is a custom URL. The default URL could be this with a big string of numbers after it, but students have the option to actually customize this, to their name or to some professional designation. A really nice feature that LinkedIn has added recently is students can add a portfolio of work, and they can add it in multiple different file formats. And so what this enables them to do, if they have a great PowerPoint that they've created for one of their classes, or maybe they did a project, that they can post it up here on LinkedIn and keep a portfolio of their projects and their work in school so employers can view that. And then over here, LinkedIn's going to recommend what else you should complete in order to have a good profile. So once again, for the career service professionals, you don't have to sit down and walk students through this. LinkedIn has done a great job actually making it as simple as possible for students to complete a profile. So here are some the top 10 student do's and don'ts. Some of them we've already talked about. So number one, make sure you use a professional email address. So I recommend students use a .edu address if they have it, and then also link it to their personal email, so their Gmail account. So both emails are listed in there, but the .edu is the one that most people will see. But that way, after they graduate, they'll still be able to access their accounts. Encourage them to use proper business English. So the idea, once again, this is not like texting or Facebook or Twitter, but it's more like a professional presence, a professional resume. Encourage them to upload a professional image. If they don't have a professional image, they're better off with no image at all. They need to create a compelling headline and not just take the default of student at such and such university. You want them to list their current position if they have one and at least 2 past positions. And regardless of what type of position they held in the past, they've developed some skills like strong communication skills, work well with the team, provides excellent customer service that they can use to highlight their past positions as well. You want them to complete the summary section. Encourage them to just do 1 short paragraph, so no more than about 2 inches of text, because if they create a page-long summary, then employers are not going to take the time to read it. But if it's something, a short blurb in their summary section that describes them, then that really stands out. You want to encourage them to complete the specialties and interest sections. You want to encourage them to seek recommendations, so they can go to their professors and say, can you provide me a recommendation on LinkedIn? And that will actually show up in their profile for other people to see. You want to encourage them to join groups. So most universities have an alumni group out there, and you want to direct them, join this group, and then use the new Get Discovered feature to show off a portfolio of work. Are there any questions at this point about how to build a LinkedIn profile?
Yep. I think everyone has a LinkedIn profile. So.
Good deal. All right, moving right along. So here's some of you may be concerned about encouraging students to actually sign up onto LinkedIn or any other third-party service as part of your service offerings. But the way LinkedIn has emerged, that there are a lot of features that your students really need to be able to avail themselves of. And so there is a strong value proposition to your students, and we'll go through some of those now. So first of all, students need to build a professional online presence. They've been very good at building a social presence through Facebook and other social media, but now it's time for them to start thinking about building a professional presence. And so one of the things that LinkedIn has done recently is change their user agreement. So now 14-year-olds and older can create a LinkedIn profile. And so students coming onto campus increasingly might already have a LinkedIn profile, but still might need some assistance in, how do I use it professionally? You want to encourage them to add connections with professional contacts. So there's a difference between how you friend someone and how you create a LinkedIn connection. It's a great tool to research companies, industries, and different grad schools. Students can apply for jobs directly through LinkedIn very easily. They can learn about industry and company trends. And then for your undecided students, it's a great tool for them to explore different types of opportunities. So first of all, encouraging them to build a professional online presence. So this is Facebook. This is obviously a social presence. And so what we've seen emerge is basically it's okay to have a social profile and it's okay to have a professional profile, that both of those things need to exist separately but at the same time. So here's James Worrell on LinkedIn. So you can see the difference. This is a professional online presence, a very different type of image, different type of information that's available out there. And so while it's important to have both, they need to understand the appropriate etiquette for which is my social space and which is my professional space, and then maintain the professional space as purely professional. Adding connections. This is another thing we need to coach students on. So friends and family, these are Facebook friends. Professors and advisor, these are LinkedIn connections. So I can tell you as a professor, it really creeps me out when one of my students sends me a friend request on Facebook. So, they're not my friends. My Facebook page is for friends and family to, keep folks updated on what's happening in my life and with my kids. But I'm very comfortable connecting with students on LinkedIn as a professor. It's more of a professional connection. And of course, they can create LinkedIn connections with family members when the purpose is for professional networking. So tapping into mom's work network or tapping into dad's or Uncle Sam's work network, that is perfectly appropriate. But this idea, they need to start being able to distinguish between what is a social connection and what is a professional connection. LinkedIn is a great platform to research companies. So up here in the top, that students can search different companies. So I put in Hewlett-Packard, and this is the Hewlett-Packard company page. Lots of great information on this page. So if someone's passionate about getting a job at Hewlett-Packard, what they can do is they can follow Hewlett-Packard on this page. And so you can click here and then automatically get updates through your LinkedIn account. That Hewlett-Packard can highlight the different news events, careers that they have, the different products and services, and upcoming news and insights. Another nice feature is students can see how they're actually connected to this company. So you can see I have 2 first-degree connections who actually work at HP, 418 second-degree connections, and then there's 220,000 employees of HP out there on LinkedIn. And of course here they can actually look at, so what jobs, what positions are out there. So by clicking Learn More, students can be taken to specific jobs. They have a nice job description, which is a great way for students to read through some job descriptions to identify interesting career opportunities. Another thing, it typically includes how do you contact the person posting the job, some estimated salary range for the position, and then, your connection information as well. Another nice feature is LinkedIn will direct students to similar jobs that other people have viewed. And so, if you like this job, what jobs at other companies are out there that you should take a look at. So very nice feature. And of course, more and more employers are moving to this apply now through LinkedIn. And so students have the option of applying now with their LinkedIn profile or saving this into an electronic folder. It's not actually a folder, but they can save a bunch of jobs and then go back and compare the different positions. So 2 really nice features. So when you click Apply Now, it's going to say apply with your profile. It'll bring up your profile. You can add additional information. You can add your resume or cover letter, and then you submit. And so the way it's shaking out now is LinkedIn profiles are going to start to outpace resumes as the preferred source of information contact job application. And the reason for that is because from the employer's perspective, it is much easier for them to collect this data electronically than it is in a paper-based resume, because they can do so much more with it if they have it in a database already. And so it's going to become more and more common for employers to actually want you to apply through a LinkedIn link. Another nice feature is students can learn about industry trends. So this is a typical home page on LinkedIn. This first box is updates, and if you click here on See Your News, then it's going to take you to more news options. And so here you can get news, you can follow specific companies, specific news channels. They have a series of influencers that blog regularly out there on LinkedIn. You can review all of the influencers. They have different channels for different industry types that students can follow, and of course they have publishers as well. But this is really nice because students have access through their LinkedIn profile to get cutting-edge information on topics of interest. And when they bring it into the classroom so they can talk about, hey, here's the latest in the news, it really makes them stand out in class that they're following current events. LinkedIn also just launched university pages, which allows students and alumni to find out where alumni from that university have actually gone on to work. So this is a very nice feature. It allows your university to brand itself on LinkedIn and makes it easy for students to actually track what were some of the career paths of the alumni that came out of that school. So for those of you that were familiar with Career Explorer, that LinkedIn has stopped supporting that application and have replaced it with these university pages and college alumni. So if you're interested in signing up for a university page, that you go to linkedin.com/edu and you'll be taken to this screen so you can see your school. And of course, it will tell you here whether or not your university still needs to build out a profile. But some of the nice features of the university page is that you can target communications through LinkedIn and allow students and alumni to actually research career tracks. So how you get to the university page, that once again you can search for the name of a specific university. So this is nice for your students who are thinking about going on to graduate school. These university pages make it very easy for them to compare different graduate programs. And of course the other way to get to the university page is it's an automatic hyperlink in your education profile. So if you just click on your university name, then it will take you to the university page. So some of the things that you can do with university pages, that you can upload your logo and campus photo, so make it look beautiful. You can see where alumni have gone. So what LinkedIn has done is tried to, organize everybody who's claiming an association with the university and break down where they're working, what different industries they're working in. It automatically makes alumni followers. So this is also a really nice feature, that if they put your university in their education profile, they automatically start following your education page. You can highlight some notable alumni so students can see where some of the alumni have gone. You can post your stats on your LinkedIn university page so students can compare different types of programs. And then it also provides your followers with a platform for exchange. So people can actually post comments right there on the university page and engage in conversation. Another nice feature for students who are looking at graduate schools is that LinkedIn recommends here are some other similar schools to the University of Maryland that you might want to check out. You can also feature your official groups. So most universities were slower than their alumni coming to LinkedIn to create alumni groups, and so chances are pretty good that you have several alumni groups out there. One of the nice things about the university page is that you can actually direct students to the LinkedIn group you want them to join, not just the first one that comes up. And then you can also connect the different schools within the university. So remember when I pulled up Florida State and there were 4 different options? Well, from the main university page, you can connect all of these different university pages together. And so this was the main page for the University of Maryland at College Park. And then here is a separate Robert H. Smith School of Business page. And so you can see here it's just aggregating the B school graduates and then gives you the same breakdown of information of where they work, what they do. And so with the separate school college pages, you're allowed to actually segment comment communications in your alumni networks. So in terms of managing multiple university pages, that LinkedIn has an FAQ that talks you through how do you link up the different pages. And of course, if you have multiple LinkedIn options out there for your university and you want to merge them, then there's also a way to do that. So one of the things to note when you're managing multiple university pages is that there are separate networks on LinkedIn. So this is me. I graduated from the University of Maryland College Park, and that's what I have put in my education profile on LinkedIn. And so when you search University of Maryland College Park, I come up. However, I'm really a graduate of University of Maryland Robert H. Smith School of Business, but this is not in my LinkedIn profile. And so when you search on me within this network, you don't find me. So these are non-overlapping networks. That is a critical thing to think about, at least at this point in time for university pages. Do you want all of your School of Business graduates to be in a separate network from the folks from the rest of the university? Because that's one of the implications. So we recommend having a very clear university policy for managing university pages. Are you going to have one for each of the separate schools or college within the university, or do you want everybody to merge into the same university page? So you can merge pages, and you can have LinkedIn take down multiple pages, but start with a clear policy so you can justify, yes, we want to have a multiple page presence on LinkedIn, or no, we prefer to have the single LinkedIn university page. Another nice feature that LinkedIn has provided is being able to link a LinkedIn profile to your career fairs. And so this is a service called Check-in, and it's becoming more and more popular with employers. So the way it works is students would walk into a career fair, and instead of having to hand a resume and get the same spiel from, the employer representative, what they can do is check in with that employer with their LinkedIn profile. So the employer automatically gets the student's resume via LinkedIn profile, and then they can start talking about, higher level things like what is it like to work there. And that way the student knows that this employer is going to remember me because I've checked in with my LinkedIn account. And so some of the nice things about the check-in feature for employers is that they can capture event leads using any mobile device, so they get this information via mobile. They can connect the name and the email to the actual LinkedIn profile of the people they're talking to. They can send out an automatic follow-up email to all the event leads. And so for the folks that they met at your career fair, they can easily send the follow-up email. That the leads that check in with the employer automatically follow the LinkedIn company page. That the employer can use tags and notes to highlight key skills and experiences of the people that checked in at the event. And they can also track results and follow the lead's career progression over time. So maybe it was a student of interest, the student went on to take another opportunity, but then the employer wants to track where is that person going to go over time. So a lot of really neat features that you'll probably see coming into your career fairs that LinkedIn provides. So once again, pause to take any questions that you have about student resources.
I think we may be having a technical glitch with our questions here, but
it's a very quiet group. So you guys are also welcome to follow up with us via email if you have any questions. And what we can do is after a couple of days put together an FAQ to make available to everybody.
Molly, I do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
But it's not on necessarily student resources.
Okay.
How accurate is the match logic? In other words, if a school sends in their file to match into LinkedIn, how accurate is that match going to be, and is that really my John Wright in that file.
So let me pull up my profile, and I'll show you exactly what we match to. So once again, what we ask from you is the student's name, the university, also the degree type, the major, and what year they graduated. And so what we match to is the university name, the degree type, the specialization or major, and then the years graduated. So the more data that we have, the more accurate the match. If we're not certain that it's a match, then we don't match it and charge you.
Okay, so it's basically exact matches. It's got to match on name, university, degree, and all of those fields, then it's a match.
If they're available. So some of the alumni will only put in the university name. If it's a very unusual name that probably doesn't have a lot of graduates with that, so Molly Wasko is fairly unique, that we would call it a match for you. If it was something like John Wright, it wouldn't be enough information for us to call it a match.
Right. Too common last name there. Anyhow, another question, Molly, is on turnaround time. What is a reasonable, if college sends us their recent graduates for several years, what is roughly a turnaround time they can expect to get a file back?
So if it's a reasonably small file, so 50,000 records or less, we'll have it turned back within a week.
Okay. All right. Well,
Which is a great question, by the way. So for those of you that are getting ready to submit NACE results or do your 6-month out, giving the service a try, we could have it back within a week, typically shorter depending on the file size. But it's a great way to gather this information right now so you have accurate 6-month out reporting.
Alrighty, I don't see any more questions coming in, so anything else you wanted to add, Molly? I just want to thank you for a great job walking us through LinkedIn. It was very enlightening for me, and I'm sure our guests enjoyed it as well. But we will have a copy of the webinar up on our website, hepdata.com, and a copy of the slides should be there as well. And again, thank you very much, Molly.
So just a couple more slides. There's a resources page with hyperlinks. So it will take you to the education resources site and videos, different types of documents they have out there, a student resources site, the college alumni tool, how to get to the FAQs for a university, how to actually request access to a university page, more information about check-in, and then LinkedIn has a higher education channel that I recommend everybody join. And if you're interested, here's our contact information. We'd be happy to follow up with you.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming, and we look forward to chatting with you and getting to know you better. But thanks everyone. Thanks, Molly.
Thanks. Bye-bye.